And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of MLB DFS Quick Hits, your Monday, August 17th edition. We have an 11-game slate on tap for you tonight, so we're going to get you cracking on all that goodness. The pitching's bad. The offense is going to be everywhere. So much fun. But first, hope everybody had a great week, and I want to say thank you to all those that reached out and was some kind words. It was awesome. This is what we do it for, to get you guys to win some money. Hope you enjoy the show, enjoy a little baseball. And I don't do the show on the weekends. Never have. This is my fifth year of doing this show. But if you ever want to need some help or anything, there's a free fantasy sports DJ and Slack chat. Lots of good guys in there. I'm in there most of the weekend chatting it up. So come join us over there. All you got to do is give me your email, and I'll sign you up there. Also, if you get a rate and review on iTunes, we'd appreciate it. It would help go a long ways. All right, let's get cracking. 11 games to break down for you tonight. Don't worry about the Cardinals-Cubs double dip. Not on the main slate. But Red Sox-Yankees in, total of 10. Mets, Marlins, 9. Nats, Braves, 10. Jays, Orioles, 9. Royals, Twins, 9.5. Tigers, White Sox, 9.5. Padres, Rangers, 8.5. Rockies, Astros, 9.5. Giants, Angels, waiting on that one. Looks like Tyler Anderson is going to pitch for the Gigantes. Mariners, Dodgers, 9.5. A's, D-backs, waiting on that one as well. So if you got a trend, pretty much everything's 9 or higher except Padres, Rangers. We're waiting on 2 other totals. So lots and lots of offense, as you would come to expect these days after a couple good days of pitchers we had over the weekend. So you're going to have some fun with that. And when we talk pitching, it's ugly. Your highest priced arm, Hyun-Jin Ryu, $9,400 at the Baltimore Orioles. Ryu's pitched much better the last 2 times out. I will give him that much, over 23 DK points the last 2 starts. Miami at Atlanta. Still only going 5 innings and 6 innings, but he's stretching it out. He's up to 92 pitches. He was 97 his first start, so he's stretched out. He's just not going super deep. Got the strikeouts his last time out. Faces the Baltimore Orioles, a team that's been mashing left-handed pitching. We can't hide that one at all with an Orioles team that we've been loving to use over and over again. When you look at their numbers versus left-handed pitching this year, Baltimore only striking out 19% of the time, hitting 299, 283 ISO, 396 WOBA as a team versus lefties. So it's something to definitely keep in mind. I can see the appeal to using a Hyun-Jin Ryu versus the Orioles for the strikeout upside, but again, they only strike out 19% of the time, so it's not there like it used to be. He's $9,400. If you want to go there, go for it. Not sure how much I'll have of him tonight. You have Chris Bassett at 94, another guy that I've been in love with this year. It's one of the many differences when you do FanDuel and DraftKings, because Bassett's very affordable on FanDuel. He's like $7,800. Very affordable in that situation. So you can go look at a Chris Bassett at 94 and on DK and kind of be like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go there. But on FanDuel at 78, much more viable. So you can use him there and move on in that direction. If you're going to pay up, though, I'd take Ryu over Bassett as it's at the same price point. But it's very tricky because that Arizona team, you can pick on Arizona versus right-handed pitching. They're on striking out 20% of the time, only hitting 255 with a 143 ISO. So you can definitely get at them. But I really don't feel like paying up for either on DraftKings tonight. That's the difference in that one. I'd rather save some cash and go down to some other guys. Like you have Zach Gallen on DraftKings at 88. He's like 97 on FanDuel. Can't use him on FanDuel at 97. But on DraftKings at 88, you can start talking about Zach Gallen. Like the A's offense is very strong versus right-handed pitching. They're still striking out 25% of the time. Big difference. The last 2 guys or teams we talked about, less than 20% K rates. The D-backs the A's striking out 25% of the time. They're only hitting 229. So it's either it goes out of the ballpark or they're pretty much striking out. A 203 ISO tells you they're hitting it well. 334 WOBA. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay. So this A's offense is good. They just faced the Giants, which helps everybody. That's always good. But Gallen at 88 on DraftKings, much more doable. 97 on FanDuel, tough to stomach. But on DraftKings 88, like me some Zach Gallen. Zach Davies, $8,200, and he's cheap on FanDuel as well. Not sexy at all. But 18, 27, got blown up at Coors. You kind of write that one off. And then 18 again. He's been very consistent, going 5 or more innings in every start. He has 5 or more. Basically, in his 3 good starts, he has 5 or more Ks. He's limiting the damage. He has not given up a home run outside of Coors Field yet this year. We talked about him in the preseason for a season-long, like late-round pick. There's options there when it comes to a Zach Davies. And, going up in this matchup against the Texas Rangers, if they close the roof, it's a much more pitcher-friendly ballpark. Texas is striking out 21% of the time versus right-handed pitching, only hitting 215. That's very positive. Only a 124 ISO. 283 WOBA is dreadful. 69 WRC plus as a team. they're very bad at offense right now. Even in Coors, they never really blew up. In Coors Field, they got shut down. So a guy like Zach Davies, he'll get overlooked big time because people see Zach Davies' name and walk away. I think he's very cash viable at $8,200. He's viable on FanDuel too. There's another guy that's cheaper on FanDuel that's going to be a little more popular and I see much more appeal to. But Davies is viable on both sides, so keep him in mind when you're looking at your pitching tonight. The guy that's more valuable is Ross Stripling. He's 79 on DK, and he's very affordable. He's like 78 or something on FanDuel, and I was looking at it earlier. So you can definitely look at a guy like Ross Stripling, slow and steady, gets it done. He got only 4 2/3 innings against San Diego's last time out. But prior to that, 5+ in every start. He's got you 7 or more Ks in 2 of the 4 starts, and he's facing the Seattle team that you just want to pick on. So the Stripling price is very surprising to me because when you look at Seattle, this is a team that's striking out almost 24% of the time versus right-handed pitching, only hitting 226 with a 138 ISO and a 294 WOBA. Like they're very, very bad. It's almost the same numbers as the Texas Rangers. Very, very similar to the Texas Rangers. A little higher strikeout rate, but a lot of the other stuff is very, very similar. So a guy like Ross Stripling at his price point is going to be a great play. Very popular play tonight, though. So keep that in mind. And then Jordan Montgomery is an interesting one to go to at $7,800. He's a kind of a hit and miss guy. Like he got hit around 2 starts ago at Philly, but at home against Atlanta, he pitched 6 strong innings and got 4 Ks. And then at home against Boston earlier this year, 5 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned, 4 Ks. He's gotten you 18 and 16.5 in his 2 good starts. Got blown up in his other. He's given up at least 1 home run in every start this year. So they have to keep that in mind when looking at things. But when you look at the Boston Red Sox as a team here versus left-handed pitching, they're striking out 20.8% of the time, nearly 21%, hitting 267, 173 ISO, 329 WOBA. Pretty average stuff. They're a good offense. Like JD Martinez started out good, slumped a ton, kind of hitting a little bit now. Kevin Pillar's swinging it really well. Bogarts is there. Devers can hit from both sides. So there's options there with Boston. The offense is it's not clicking on all cylinders right now, but their offense is going to be good. It's their pitching that's horrible, and that's what kind of scares people off of Boston. So J-Mont at 78 is interesting if you want to be a little different. So in this mid-tier range, I got Stripling 1, Davies 2, Montgomery 3, Gallen 4, if you're breaking it all down there. And if you're looking to punt, the punts are just disastrous this evening, really, really bad. But the guy I'm looking at is Kyle Freeland against the Houston Astros. Yes, the Houston Astros striking out 17.5% of the time versus left-handed pitching, 263 average, 224 ISO, 348 WOBA. So they got some pop, decent average. Freeland's been actually pretty good. That velo going up this year has really helped Kyle Freeland out a lot. $6,900 is a nice little savings in this matchup. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Based on 6 or more innings in every start, 3 earned runs or less in every start. So if you do your math at home, that's 4 quality starts in 4 outings. He has the big thing with him is he doesn't strike guys out. Back-to-back starts, only 2 Ks, 4 and 5. So the Ks have not been there, and that's been the bugaboo. Even when he got 4 or 5 Ks, he got you 20-plus points. So if he can find a few strikeouts in that Houston lineup, Yordan Alvarez already banged up with the knee again. Altuve struggling back in 7th. There's holes in this Houston lineup. A team that should have beat up on some bad Mariners pitching did not over the weekend. So a guy like Freeland at 69, if you need to punt, go get him. So pitchers again, you got Ryu and Bassett up top. I'm really not going to use either. On FanDuel, you can use Bassett. Definitely use Bassett on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, I'd rather save money and go to the middle. You got Stripling, Davies, Montgomery, and Gallen. Gallen's more expensive on FanDuel. Keep that in mind. But Davies and Stripling, very affordable on both formats. Montgomery's a cheap punt. He's like $7K on FanDuel. So you can do some damage in this range. But I prefer Stripling, Davies, Montgomery, Gallen in that order on DraftKings. And then Freeland is your punt that I will be targeting this evening. All right, the hitting on this lovely slate, it's going to be a lot of it with all this bad pitching. Gary Sanchez, $4,800. Haven't been playing him much because he's been bad. But over the weekend, he's actually hit safely in 5 of his 6 games. He's homered in 3 of his last 4. He's still hitting $133, but we know Sanchez isn't the batting average guy. He's a GPP play if you need to go there. Probably not going to be going there, but he's in play if you need to. Pedro Severino's $4,400, hitting it really well too, like really, really well. Not sure I'm going to pay for that. Maldonado's up to 41. DraftKings, I tweeted about it last night. They changed their algorithm. Clicked. They do this once in a while. It takes them about a week or 2. A lot of price changes. Maldonado up here makes him less appealing. That's for sure. Like you got Cervelli and Cash at 4K. You could go there, but there's some savings at catchers. A couple of guys that stand out in a big, big way for us tonight. And I'll just go right to them At $3,400, Austin Romine versus Gio Gonzalez. We'll hop back on that train. Romine's having a nice solid year, especially in cash. So you can do Romine at 34 versus Gio. Or the other play is Max Stassi at 33 versus Tyler Anderson of the Giants. It's super hot on the West Coast. It's going to be, I think at game time I was looking at the weather, high 80s with a feel of low 90s in Anaheim. That ball will be flying, folks. And Tyler Anderson, he's not horrible, but good luck with that. So Stassi's a decent punt if you want to go there. And then the ones you'll hear, like Grayson Griner, if he starts instead of Romine at 29, he played yesterday, though, so I doubt he starts. But if he does, he's a very viable punt as well. And then the one you're going to hear mentioned a lot today, and rightfully so. If Kyber Ruiz is in the lineup against Justin Dunn at $2,600, you play him. I talked about him on Bench with Bubba last night with Toby. And Kyber, people forget he was once the higher catching prospect than one Will Smith. So Kyber getting his chance with Will Smith banged up. If he's in the lineup at $2,600, free square that one. First base position now, it gets interesting. Do you want to fade Animal Sanchez? You can. There's no reason you can't. Brady's 17 total of 535, lefties 327, righties 300 versus Anibal. But Freeman at 53 is a little steep. Bellinger at 51 is much more. Save $200. Love that matchup because it's done quite a bit. So I'd probably go that direction if you're narrowing it down between the two. Jose Brady versus Matt Boyd at 47 is outstanding. Boyd's been atrocious. White Sox 5.2 team total. You know how bad the offense is when there's 6 totals above 5. There's a total above 6, and we don't even have Coors Field in play. That's how bad it is. Lefties 302, righties 341 off Matt Boyd, and Matt Boyd's giving up all the home runs right now. So a guy like Abreu at 47 is very, very much in play. Our boy Yuli Gurriel, our cash game free score is up to 4,600. Not as cash viable. Like, he still is. I played him over the weekend at 44. Like, he's viable, but there's a better cash play price-wise tonight. Luke Voigt, if you're stacking the Yankees, I love me Luke. I talk about him all the time. $4,500. Power. Yankees 5.6 team total. Lefties 261. Righties 346 versus Martin Perez. So jump on some Luke Voigt at his price point tonight. I am all about, and I think if you're a regular listener by now, even if you just started this year, Baltimore Orioles are hitting everybody. And a good listener of the show tweeted out a list of the pitchers. They're mashing. They're like the Kingslayer. It's like Jamie Lannister. They're going away. They're going around taking down the big dogs on pitching staffs. Scherzers, Strasburgs. You go through the division, they're hitting them as well. So Renato Nunez at 45 versus Mr. Hung Jin Ryu. It's in play because Ryu is going to be popular tonight. Very, very popular. Lefties 229, righties 280. The Orioles have a 397 WOBA and a 283 ISO. We talked about this against left-handed pitching. So Nunez at 45. The Orioles are a contrarian GPP stack. Will they get shut down? They will from time to time. It's baseball. Play 7 games a week. If you do well 4 of the 7, you are a very good ball club. So give me some Nunez at 45 in your GPP stacks only. So remember that. GPP stacks only. Jesus Aguilar, nicer value at $4,200 versus Gesellman. He's in play for you. But when you drop down Dominic Smith, 4Ks, first base outfield eligible for the Mets, liking that one quite a bit. He is on fire. He's homered in 3 or 4 of the last 5 games. That's a big spot there for the Mets. They have a team total of 4.8 against Yamamoto. Lefties 277, righties 327. So a little bit of reverse splits, but lefties obviously still hit them just fine. Dom Smith hitting in the middle of that Mets order at 4K. Has a little bit to like in that one, but your value that I'm really staring in the teeth. Like, you could look at a Travis Shaw versus Cobb if you want, but Eric Hosmer at 3,700. I wrote him up in the values article, the premium content at RotoBaller today at $3,700. His launch angle last year was like 3.1. Year before that was like minus 1.8. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I wrote it last night. This year it's 15.6. That is called a drastic shift. His hard hit rate's through the roof. His ground ball rate's down to a career best, like 33%. He's doing everything right to start elevating the baseball, and it is showing in a big way as he's homered in 3 of the last 4 games. The one he hit yesterday was just a mammoth bomb. It was amazing. He's facing Jordan Lyles tonight. This is a great spot for Eric Hosmer at 37. I mentioned there's a cheaper cash guy. Hosmer is my cash game first baseman on DraftKings. He's cheap on FanDuel if you want to go there. There's probably cheaper options because it's FanDuel, but he's a really solid play. If you're stacking the Padres, do not forget Eric Hosmer tonight. If he gets a 0, I don't care. Like the price point for what he's doing in this matchup versus Jordan Lyles, when the Padres have a 4.5 team total. Lefty's hitting 368, righty's 292 versus Jordan Lyles. The thing I like about Hosmer is he might not go deep, but his floor is so solid right now. The way he's just hitting the baseball, driving guys in, hitting that order behind the big dogs. Lots to like there with Mr. Eric Hosmer. Some other cheap options. Hunter Dozier at 35. Whistler's going to open for Minnesota. Then the lefty Smeltzer comes in. So you can check that out. Heimer Candelario, first base, third base at 34. Switch hitter, hitting really well right now, getting Gio Gonzalez at $3,400. Candelario is in the values article over at RotoBaller for those keeping track at home. So you got some options for you there. Cronenworth's down to $3K, so you can look at him. He's cheap on FanDuel as well. First base, second base eligible. Probably playing more so at second base, but he's a nice piece there with against Lyles in that matchup for some value. So a few options to target at the position per usual. And then if I don't think you need to, it's maybe more just fun to watch. Some guys will want to have him on their roster to say they had him on their roster, but I just saw him here. Where did he go? Lewin Diaz is 2K is 2K versus Gesellman of the Mets. Big power bat in the minors. Never played in AAA. He's a good looking prospect. He's still getting his feet wet. He started over the weekend, but he's 2K if you need to. It's really no pitching to pay up for, so you don't really need to. But Lewin Diaz at 2K is something to talk about if you're curious. Second base, you got Whit Merrifield in a great spot at 5,400. If you want to pay up, don't hate it, but it's not a must by any means. You could save some money here at second base. Like Kevin Biggio at 5K versus Cobb's okay. I'd still save some more. I go to guys like Garrett Hampson leading off versus Belak and Houston at 45 would be a place I'd like to start, especially that leading off spot is huge for him. John Birdie at 39 versus Gesellman. Birdie's second base outfield eligible. You can run all over the Mets. So Birdie at 39 is an interesting play if you want to save some cash. Otherwise, this is why I mentioned Whit Merrifield and Biggio, because second base kind of stinks. But there are a few savings that we talked about right there towards the top. Or you just go slide down and save some serious cash. I mentioned Cronenworth at 3K if you want to save. But the guy I am looking for is Luis Guillermo of the New York Mets, second base shortstop eligible. He's 2,500 on DK. He's 2,100 on FanDuel. And so if he cracks the lineup, he's extreme savings at the second base shortstop position tonight. Third base, Chapman at 53 versus Gallon's interesting. So is Bregman. But I like Rendon against Tyler Alexander at 5,100. That's where I'd be starting at the position. Machado at 49. We mentioned the lefties. Machado is still a very valuable part of the Padres stack. I'd use Rendon as a one-off over Machado, but Machado's in play. And Gio Urshela at 48, hit in the middle of that Yankees order against Martin Perez. I love Gio. We talk about him a lot on this show. He's priced up. He's a lot cheaper on, I think he's like 3,200 on FanDuel. Priced up to 4,800 on DraftKings, but keep him in mind when you're checking things out tonight. Moncada Endeavors and the lefty, still not bad plays, but not running there. We're not on Nunez. I do like, we talked about him already at 4,500. If you're fading Ross Stripling, and I'm not saying you have to do a full stack, but if you're not pitching Ross Stripling and you want to be a little different, Kyle Seager at 4K is a nice contrarian play for a popular Ross Stripling. Like if you don't feel like going all in, you can still get a little exposure with Seager at 4K, and that's not a bad way to go about things. And then it's like Hunter Dozier at 35, Maikel Franco at 36, couple GPP type plays for savings for the Royals versus Minnesota. Candelario at 34, mentioned him as a value piece as well. If Matt Beattie cracks the lineup at 3K, he's first base, third base eligible. He went deep last night. Been a quiet year for Beattie. People had higher expectations for him, but 3K and a great matchup versus Dunn is definitely something you can attack in that one. And then there's some other savings, like maybe Castro of Detroit if he pops in the lineup. We'll see how that goes. Shortstop, Tatis Jr. is always in play. Love Tatis. Pour one out for Bo Bichette. He's going to be out until probably mid-September, maybe the rest of the season. That's tragic. Trey Turner is heating up. He's 5,100. Still hasn't stole a bag, but they're facing the Braves. Horrible against stolen bases. Turner's really starting to get it going now. So Trey at 51, he's got that value back to him, like that quite a bit. Corey Seager at 48 versus Dunn. Like the Dodgers, I told you that team total they have 6.2. Not even in Coors Field. Lefties 367, righties 280 versus Dunn. So yeah, you definitely want a piece of that action. Bogart's not bad, but I'll pay an extra $100 and get Corey Seager. That's simple. Gleyber Torres at 46, quietly getting going after that slow start. 10, 8, 22, 9 over his last 4 games. So a little more cash viability there for Gleyber with some GPP upside. Facing Martin Perez is always upside. So Gleyber at 46, we don't talk about him much on this show because he's been playing really bad. I see much more appeal tonight because of Perez, but I mentioned it because it's like, no, duh, Bubba. He's facing Martin Perez. I mentioned it because he's actually got cash viability at 4,600, and he's cheap on FanDuel. So Gleyber Torres is definitely worth a look tonight. Tim Anderson at 45 versus Matty Boyd's a really strong play, especially if you're stacking the White Sox. Don't sleep on our boy Tim Anderson tonight. Sliding on down, the Polanco is still very cheap if you're stacking the Twins against Bubic, or even in cash. Polanco is always a good cash game play. VR also at 42 can get on, steal some bags. So Polanco and VR, two solid cash game plays if you don't want to completely punt the position. Both bring you some nice returns in their matchups. Otherwise, if you're going to save some cash, you just kind of see who comes out in the lineups. Maybe a Jose Iglesias against Ryu at 36 if you're stacking that one up. A Willie Castro of Detroit at 34 has a little bit of a value for you in his one. And then otherwise, you have Guillermo of the Mets at 25 is kind of the punt at the position. Now, when you get to the outfield, lots of high-priced guys. Like Mike Trout is in a phenomenal spot at $6,100. That is steep, but a great spot. Mookie Betts is unconscious right now. He's $5,900. He's averaging 14.5 points over his last 10. He had 53 the other night when he triple donged. He had 17 and 21 his last two nights. He is just swinging one of the hottest sticks in baseball at $5,900. So I like that a lot. You got Cruz versus a lefty. He's on fire. Soto's on fire. Like these guys are all very worthy of their price points. It's kind of pick and choose who you want. I've been using Soto a lot in cash because he's kind of the cheaper of the big guys, if that makes sense. So that definitely stands out as something you can look to in that. But Belly Bomb's at 51 if you want to stack up big time, and hopefully he gets things going. He's been slow to the party. A guy that'll get completely overlooked in this range is Mike Yashrimsky at $5,300 because people think, why is he up here? Well, because he's productive. Over 10.5 points in his last 10. He had 5 points yesterday with a 16, 14, 16 prior to that. He's got Griffin Canyon on the mound who's okay, but not great. Ball should be flying out of LA. GPP-wise, Yastrzemski's a nice pivot up here. Not a must-play at all, but an interesting guy to just people is overlooked because of the price point, especially when you can slide down like JD Martinez versus a lefty at 48. There's more appeal there. I get it. Marcell Ozuna's very, very streaky, and he's streaking well right now. He's 4,700. You got Lou Bob versus Matt Boyd at 46, so good looks there. Keep an eye on Aaron Hicks. He was leading off over the weekend at 45. That helps a ton. But the reason it's hard to pay up at the position is you got guys like Eloy Jimenez, who is he went deep yesterday, and he's gone deep in 3 or 4 of his last 5 games. So you got a guy that's swinging it. We know has a lot of power. $4,500 versus Matt Boyd. You can save some cash and go there. You got Jorge Soler, who's going to face the lefty Smelter after Weisler's gone. That's intriguing. Clint Frazier, he's loving this. They're giving him playing time because they have to. He's 44. He's a very strong spot in this one as well. So it's why you don't really have to pay up all the time. Like I get it, especially in cash, get that stability you're looking for, but it's not a must by any means. When you slide down some more, though, you got a little bit more interesting options for you, like Jock Jams and a GPP at 43 versus Dunn. You could see it being a Jock Jams night, that's for sure. Eddie Rosario at only 42. Anthony Santander, if you're playing Baltimore, switch hitting, double donged again, I believe yesterday. He's 4,200. Steven Piscotty's heating up. He's 42. So some nice GPP targets right there at that price range. Farther down you go, though. Dom Smith at 4K. Talked about him already. I like that a lot. Shin-Soo Choo at 4,000 is not bad. I like Davies tonight, but Choo's not the worst thing there. I mentioned DraftKings algorithms changed. Our value in Robbie Grossman always being too cheap. Weighs up to 4K. Still a strong play. Still a good cash game play. He's still really cheap on FanDuel. They haven't caught on yet. But 4K on DK, it makes you think more, but still very viable for what he's doing right now, especially in cash. Maybe not so much in a GPP, but in cash, very, very viable for Robbie Grossman. Below 4K now, you're kind of picking and choosing with stuff. You're like Brandon Nimmo if you're stacking the Mets versus Yamamoto. Sure. Byron Buxton's in a strong spot at $3,800 for his Bubic. Nice cheaper piece of the Twins action for you in their matchup. And then it's like Grichuk's hitting it well at 37 versus Cobb. If you want to get a righty in there that people overlook, Alex Dickerson. If you're looking to attack Griffin Canyon, he's only $3,600 in towards the top of that order. Victor Reyes of Detroit at 36, been quite productive of late. Trent Grisham's only 36 versus Lyles, so he's kind of cash viable tonight in that matchup versus Lyles. Mr. Grisham is. Other than that, though, like Jacoby Jones at 34, if you're stacking Detroit, sure. Or if you just need a one-off cheapie, I get it. He's been productive. but not like lighting the world on fire the last week or so. Austin Slater at 32 is getting on and stealing bags for the Giants. Just make sure he's in the lineup. A value I do like, Kevin Pillar leading off versus lefties for Boston. He's 3,100, hits lefties extremely well. So Pillar at 31, he's cheap on FanDuel as well. I believe it's like 25 or 2,600. So Pillar is someone to keep an eye on in that matchup. But after that, it's literally just check your lineup because you're going to get a few guys that pop up, but you have to find out if is it really worth it playing some of these guys because more often than not, it's not, especially once they re-trigger the algorithm here. They've kind of gotten rid of some of the easies, but the two easies are my bad. Two easies that I had written down from last night. They're not lighting the world on fire, but the Nats bats are heating up. Adam Eaton is $2,600. That's too cheap. What's really too cheap is Victor Robles is $2,300. No sense. No sense at all. That one stands out as a really like what the F moment. So Robles at 23, Eaton at 26. If you need to punt something, those are some pretty strong punts. Like those are strong punts. So keep an eye on those two for sure. All right, recapping your pitching up top, you got Ryu and Bassett. Ryu's going to be very popular. Bassett on FanDuel is very affordable and very good play there. So tough to pay for those two tonight on this slate. In the 7-8K range, I got Stripling 1, going to be popular, but for good reasons. Davies 2, Montgomery 3, Gallen 4. And then your punt is Kyle Freeland, if you so choose. Go with some Kyle Freeland. When you're stacking it up tonight, you got to love some Dodgers versus Justin Dunn. Like it's so easy, but it's a phenomenal spot. Late night hammer. Dodgers are money. Just try to make it a little different. Like play your bets. If you want to play belly, sure. But like Jock Jams is a way to tweak it. Maybe Chris Taylor or one of those guys. Get creative with what you got going. Muncy went deep yesterday. So there's guys to mix and match it with. But it's a strong spot. Really strong. The Twins are looking good versus Bubic. I agree with that as well. The Yankees are versus Martin Perez. Like Dodgers and Yankees should be the two top stacks. Like for me tonight, that should be where people are going, and for very, very good reasons. I like those two quite a bit. The White Sox-Tigers game, big fan of game stacking that. I wish we had more pitching to pay for because the Tigers are cheap on DraftKings especially. But White Sox versus Boyd's where I want to go, and then get some Tigers versus Gio. No problem there. Then other than that, you can mix and match because it's pitching's that bad. Like the Mets, the Nats, you can make arguments with the Padres versus Jordan Lyles. You can be contrarian with the Red Sox versus Jordan Montgomery because he'll be popular. The Orioles versus Ryu, I love as a contrarian. It's like my top contrarian stack. Attack Ryu with these guys. So lots of ways to go about it. Even the Royals could have a little bit of thump against Weisler and then Smeltzer. Lots of ways to go. Like Dodgers, Yankees, boom. White Sox versus Boyd, boom. But you can mix and match a lot of these. If you want to do two-man stacks, a couple three-man stacks, maybe one three-man, a two-man, and some one-offs. There's lots of ways to build tonight around the pitching we are looking at. So, all right, everybody, that'll wrap us up on a Monday. Again, thanks for all the kind words over the weekend. If you need any help, I'm on Twitter at BDentric. Join us in the Fantasy Degens free Slack chat. It's as simple as that. Also, go check out rotoballer.com. You can find these videos on the YouTube page at RotoBaller, RotoBaller's YouTube page. Give it a like, give it a check out. If you want to check out all the awesome premium content, I write the values article Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do a free DraftKings article Tuesday and Thursday, but there's tons of great content over there. Use promo code Bubba for 10% off the discounts they already have on packages over there. So go check all that out at rotoballer.com. Give a rating and review on iTunes to the podcast. I would love that a ton. The podcast you can find on all your listening platforms, but give a rating and review would help me out immensely. But other than that, you guys have a great Monday. Hopefully we don't get any craziness because there's a lot of injuries and playing season long. Keep an eye out on everything before lock because there's a lot of questionable things going on. But good luck today. I will be with you guys tomorrow. This was MLB DFS Quick Hits, your Monday, August 17th edition. I'm out.